Hello everyone, my name is Nate Lex and welcome back to XDex. Thank you for tuning in this week for another tutorial. This week we are going to be learning a move called Flickr. It looks a little something like this, and it is a one-card twirl that is done between the index finger and the middle finger. It's very fun. I learned it from, I believe, Bone Ho a long time ago. Hello everyone, this is Nate from the future interjecting into the video. I also forgot to mention that I'm using this deck of cards today, which is 5-2 by Dealer's Grip, and I hope you enjoy seeing this in the trailer. Back to me talking about whatever I was talking about before. Oops, dropped that on my computer. And a little tip I wanted to give you guys in this. Please follow my verbal tutorial very carefully. I did this move wrong for several months and then later figured out that I was doing it wrong and got a better flow and rhythm and some of the subtleties down once I watched the video a couple more times. So hopefully I'm going to make a tutorial that prevents you from having any of those errors. So without further ado, let's jump into the tutorial for Flickr. All right, everyone, so now let's get to the tutorial for Flickr. Oh, that's a horrible one. Looks a little something like that. It's a very, oh goodness, this is slippery. It's a very fun twirling move that you do in your hands that I'm going to show you how to do right now. There are no prerequisites for Flickr. It's a move all on its own and you will be able to learn other moves based off of this. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. So to begin, what you're going to do is take your index finger and your thumb on your dominant hand. So if you have held Dealer's Grip before, that's going to be in my left hand, but it may be in the right hand for some of you. And in this little clip I have right here, I usually flip the view so you guys can learn if you guys flip the hand motions to the way that I do. So here's how you begin. Your index and your middle, and actually, I just remember this. I'm going to hand my friend Joe, who is in the room with me, a card so he can follow along while I'm doing this. And I'm going to try to verbally teach it, and we'll see how Joe's is at the end. And if I can, I'll include a little bonus clip of how far he makes it. That bag's rustling a little bit. Yeah. All right, so let's actually get into it. So in the center of the card, you're gonna have the card long ways like this. So you're holding it like you would an iPhone or a tablet or other phones are available. And you're gonna hold it with your thumb and your index finger in the center of the card. Now what's going to happen here is you're going to kind of lightly hold it so it can't slip out, but it's not like bending and gripping the card in a death grip. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull this with your index and your thumb towards this little heel or the circle of your hand, like this. So you're going to pull it in like that. So just practice that for a second. You're going to take the index and thumb and pull it in, because what's going to happen after that is that middle finger of yours is going to extend over and try to curl that first knuckle over the card. So after you've done this practice a couple times and you've gotten that motion down, you can practice extending that middle finger first knuckle over that card like this. And it's going to be roughly looking like this, a grip such as this. So once you are able to pull the card in and get that middle knuckle over, what's going to happen is your thumb is going to actually let go. And it's going to pinch between these fingers, the index and the middle, like so. So what's going to happen is you're going to pull it in. The middle finger is going to, essentially the middle and index are going to pull it away from the thumb like this. Now I'm going to teach you guys the basic motion of how Flickr works, and then I'm going to teach you at the end how to do it so that it looks like it's actually doing more movement than it would normally. Also, excuse any flicking sounds in the background. Joe, you may continue to practice, but I'm going to warn the audience that there may be some card shuffling in the background as noise. So what's going to happen? Oh, I'm shaking the camera, sorry. Pull it into your hand, middle finger goes over, and you extend out like this. So here's the cool thing that's going to happen that's going to add a little bit extra spin. Your wrist is going to turn down. So the card, let's say that the card is starting face up. We're starting with the card face up in your hand. You pull it in and you extend it out. That means when it's extended out, the back will be up again. But when you turn your wrist over, the front or the face of it will be up. So what you've done is this. Pull into your hand, middle comes over, extends out, and then at the same time, in tandem, the wrist is going to turn over. Now here's the cool thing that's going to happen. I need you to practice this motion with your index and your middle. Your middle is going to go over top of the index like it would have if you were, just picture your, to practice that movement of pushing out, your middle finger is going to go over your index, and those two are going to extend out with the middle above the index. So it's going to look like this. And so the card's separating it, but if I took the card away, the middle is laying on top of the index. And what's going to happen is, you guys might have done this before, your fingers are going to switch places and you roll the index over the middle, or you roll the middle over the index. So I'd practice doing that a couple of times, because you're actually going to do a little bit of that rolling during this little flourish. So what's going to happen is you're going to pull it in, it flicks out, your wrist comes down, and as your wrist is turning back this way, the index switch places with the middle, and it looks like this. So now the card is up again, or the back is facing you. Now here's the part that I didn't get the first time, and I got my thumb in the wrong place, so I didn't get the cool twirling motion where it looks like it's going in. Oh, I almost dropped my card. Where it's going in a whole bunch of, it looks like more motion than it's actually happening. What you're going to want to do is, if you pull that finger out like this, turn your wrist over, turn it back, switch those positions. Your thumb, so here's what's going to happen. Your thumb is going to go underneath. So if you're extending your hand that looks like this, your thumb is going to go underneath the card so that you pinch with the index and thumb again like in the beginning. So the middle finger, as the thumb slides underneath the card to pinch with the index, the middle pulls out of there like this, and you're back to the beginning. Now I think that if you do this correctly, if you look closely, there's a 5-2 here. I'll see if I can show the camera. There's a 5-2 here. If I do this correctly, it'll be upside down the next time. So then to get it right side up, you just do it again. And the 5-2 goes back to its rightful place. So that is just the basic flicker. And so what you want to do when you're practicing, a lot of what I did was just do this. So it doesn't look as impressive when you're doing this, but this is the flicker motion, just without the wrist. So check this out. Now that I add the wrist, look how many twirls it looks like it's doing. Right? And it looks way cooler if you do that. So what I want you to do is just practice turning it over in your hand, extending that middle and index out, turning it back over, and bringing it back to your thumb. Like this. But don't use your wrist at all. And then once you've done this slowly and can do this without the wrist, there's this, I could try to do it towards the camera, but it's a move that was done in the Verts video that I saw, where it looks like he's like snapping his fingers over and over again. So it looks like he's rolling that card a ton over his fingers. Sounds like Joe's getting the hang of it over there. So I'm going to kind of walk through this one more time, and then I will go into the variation if you guys would like to see that. So what happens is, you pull in, again, index and thumb pull in, both at the middle of the card. Middle finger comes over, grips, extends out, like so. Turns over with the wrist, turns back over, and while it's turning the last time over, the index is going over the middle. That's where the thumb comes in to let the middle finger get out of the way, and the index and thumb will turn it over like this. So here's the extra part. It's usually called the Zach Mueller flicker, because he taught it a long time ago. So if you guys know Fontaine cards, that's the guy who taught this variation of the flicker move. So what you do is you do basic flicker all the way through, but instead of putting your thumb on the way back, you get your index finger over, and your ring finger comes over, makes contact with the back, index lets go, the middle will go over the ring, and the pinky will meet it there. So I'm going to try to do this in slow motion. It's a lot easier in fast motion when you've practiced it, because it kind of catches gravity. So usually what I do to get a good start is I take mine like this, I turn over, and then snap my wrist down. I get some extra movement. So that's a little subtlety for you. Then this way, ring grabs, middle moves over the ring, pinky grabs, and then he does this little motion like this. So you're in a grip like this with your ring on the back of it, your middle on the back of it, the ring's in front of the card, and the pinky's on the back. And what he does is, it looks like this, he just does like a wave. So you can wave out or wave in, but it's essentially just going like this. So imagine curling your fingers in like this, but with a card in it. And it's kind of like doing a fan. Imagine there was an orb right here, a fushigi ball, if you will, or a contact juggling ball, and you're trying to scrape the card around it, or you're scooping something up with the card. So whatever flourishy move looks best for you, or like you're wiping it off, or swirling up something, like making mac and cheese. But I'll do that one more time, and then that'll be the end of the flicker tutorial. Excuse my squeaky shoes. So one last time, pull in with your index and your thumb, Middle comes over, flips out like this, wrist turns over, comes back around, thumb grabs, and for the alternate version, slow motion in, middle finger comes over and grabs, extend out, wrist turns down. Now instead of the thumb getting in the way, index goes over. Oh, this is so hard to do slow. Index goes over to ring, to pinky, to swirl. And then what he does here, this is a really cool thing. You let go of the middle and it's just gripped in between your ring and your pinky. So it should look like this. And what you do is you can give it a little flick so that you can do, this. I haven't done that in a long time. That's what he usually does. So he flickers it around, gets it just between the ring and the pinky like this. And then you extend out, you flick out with your fingers, releasing the card. So you can practice doing that. Oh, practice doing that a couple of times. It's really hard to not do do without the move. So give you a little flicker, and that is the Zach Mueller flicker shot. Or I'm sorry, flicker, not flicker shot. We can learn that one later. I'm just throwing the card everywhere. Anyway, guys, that is the Flickr tutorial. Hope you guys learned a lot, and I'm going to give it over to myself in the outro for housekeeping. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching the tutorial of the Flickr shot. I hope you guys got a lot out of it and that you were able to do it now. Please practice over and over and over again. A couple of housekeeping items before we go. As you guys know, I work for xdex.com, logo over here somewhere, and we sell rare decks of cards. So if you see any deck that we use in this video, like the one I showed you today, this will be available on our website and you can grab these. They are rare and very good to use. Also, we are at XDex Rare Cards on Instagram. We have a new logo. We've done some rebranding recently, as you can tell by our YouTube page and our Instagram and our Facebook and everywhere else that we have social media. And one last thing, cardistry, guys, is a hard art. It is hard. It takes practice. I've done this for almost 9 years and I still drop cards all the time. So please, if you're dropping cards, that's part of the that's par for the course, as some people might say, and you'll get used to it and it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.